Wonderful. And we'll just bring up our presentation. And we're really excited to have everyone here today and to really have an opportunity to talk about this timely topic, and where we're going to be really looking at what it looks like to address the nursing retention crisis in Canada through leveraging the Nursing Retention Toolkit through holistic nursing and nurse coaching. So just to welcome everyone to the space again, on behalf of TheCIINDE, we are also going to just acknowledge that we live, learn, and work on traditional unceded Indigenous territories, and we pay our respects to the First Nation, Métis, and Inuit ancestors, and pledge our commitment to upholding healthy relationships, ethics, protocols, traditional knowledge, and cultural practices that reflect and pay tribute to the truth and reconciliation calls to action. So thank you for being here and being willing to be part of this conversation and have an opportunity to have discussion and questions, answers around what this may look like, what's happening in Canada, what's happening in our global community, and how can we as nurses be key influencers in the way that we approach this retention crisis that we are facing in Canada. So just moving to the next slide, we will introduce our presenters, which I'm here. I'm Kim Derkach. I am one of the co-founders of the Canadian Institute of Integrative Nursing Development and Education, and I'm from Saskatchewan. So that's where I'm calling in from, and I'm excited to be here.
And I'm Sherry Hall. I am the founder of TheCIINDE. Many of you know us already. For those of you that are here today joining us, we're really excited to have all of you here. And it's always super exciting to do anything that we do with CHNA. It's been a wonderful journey so far, and it's a delight to be here today. And I am chiming in from Nova Scotia.
And I'm Janessa DeCoste, and I'm one of the co-founders and I guess co-creators of our comprehensive program. And I am joining in from Okotoks, Alberta.
So as Sherry was mentioning, we've recognized so many people here, which is so wonderful to have so many people in our community here. And we also acknowledge that some of you may be new to us, and may be wondering, what is TheCIINDE, or the Canadian Institute of Integrative Nursing Development and Education? So that's our full name, and you will hear us referred to as TheCIINDE. So TheCIINDE is an internationally accredited educational institute, and we provide continuing education credit hours for nurses. So we really feel that we're an innovative organization. We are dedicated to improving whole health, looking at the well-being for both the nurse and our clients. So really in 2020, which was the year of the nurse, we began offering courses for continuing education. And we now have many courses that we do offer. We'll be talking a little bit more specifically today about our signature program, our comprehensive holistic nurse, nurse coach, and consultant certificate program, just in relation to how holistic nursing and nurse coaching can address the Nursing Retention Toolkit. But we do have many other supplemental courses as well. So really here on the slide, you can see our mission and our vision statement, but we really are dedicated to enhancing the health and well-being of nurses, as I mentioned, through holistic practices. So this is where we align so well with CHNAs, and our mission and our vision are so in alignment. So we're really here to promote a holistic care approach, starting with the nurse's well-being first. We aim to revive the essence of nursing by providing education and support and tools for positive impact in our own lives and in our communities. So we believe in respecting individual needs, cultural diversity, and the mind-body-spirit connection in our care and the way that we show up in the world. And our programs are evidence-based, which empower the nurse and the clients through these holistic approaches. Our vision is really, we envision a world where nurses honor nurses, where we support one another, and we advocate for adopting a lifestyle where self-care is really part of everything that we do. It's that self-care as a self-responsibility, and we act as models. We are able to show up in our lives in a different way. We're able to role model what it looks like to take care of our own health and well-being in our own whole self. And we get to role model this into the community as well. So, and what this looks like to achieve optimal health and well-being, although, this may be different for each and every person. So that's a little bit about TheCIINDE. And then we can move to the next aspect, and there we go.
Yeah. So we have a number of accreditations, endorsements, and partnerships. And a few that we'd like to highlight here is our CHNA endorsement that we have for our comprehensive program. We're also, as Kim mentioned, accredited through the American Nurses Credentialing Center, and they're based out of the US. So what this does is helps us provide credit hours for nurses taking the program so that they may be eligible for board certification exams in the future if they choose to take them. We're also endorsed by the Gene Watson Caring Science Institute, and our program is accredited by the Canadian Nurses Association. Most recently, we've partnered with Nova Scotia Health Authority. We're going through our second iteration of it with them bringing students into the program. So we've had about 75 nurses take the program. And it's been really exciting to work alongside alongside a health authority and watching them bring holistic nursing and nurse coaching into the authority. So it's been a very exciting journey, and it's always fun to share what some of these accreditations and endorsements look like.
Okay, so moving on to our purpose here at TheCIINDE, and our purpose for even launching TheCIINDE as an institute and continuing education opportunity for nurses. And it really evolved from our own personal experiences in nursing, as well as, what over 75% of respondent nurses are telling us that they're experiencing in nursing as well. And that's burnout and being disheartened with the profession, even as much as we come into nursing because it's basically a calling for us and something that really becomes a part of us. We're often left at the end of the day feeling very dissatisfied with our career, but not wanting to leave it. So we wanted to look at how can we change that culture and change that trajectory for nurses moving forward. When we look at the number of nurses or the percentage of nurses that are responding as being burnt out in the profession, this is higher than any other sector or domain. So that's really alarming. Our purpose at TheCIINDE is really to revive the heart or the art of nursing. We know that nursing is both a science and an art. And we've lost that art piece of it. Like that's kind of, as we're trying to become, or we are becoming more professional and recognized more as a profession, that part of it is kind of being pushed to the side. And we're seeing the repercussions from that. So our purpose really is to ease the suffering of nurses worldwide and to provide a supportive community for them and for ourselves. So we recognize that we really are looking at an urgent need for a cultural shift that's going to take nursing from a profession where we're seeing nurses barely surviving and existing to one where we're actually flourishing and thriving and wanting to be a part of nursing moving forward. We included a quote from Elder Kat Trieger that is in the Nursing Retention Toolkit, because it really truly aligned with our purpose here at TheCIINDE. So he says that we really need to focus first and foremost on honoring nurses' well-being, and that's by ensuring that we provide support in whatever capacity that we can, and that we are ensuring, and we love this piece, that there is place, space, and time for them to be balanced in mind, body, and spirit. So important. To date, we are really excited to share that we've had several Indigenous students that have been supported actually to come and attend our program in holistic nursing and nurse coaching. And they have always commented on how this program aligns so well with their culture. So in the lower right-hand corner there, we wanted to feature one of our Indigenous graduates, Nicole Porter, who's actually an LPN, and is now an Indigenous advocate, mentor, and student advisor for TheCIINDE. She received funding from her band to take the program and has been approved to use her practice hours as nursing practice hours. So she uses these skills in her community to improve youth mental health, which is, we know, so important in this day and age. So she works with the Fort Foley First Nation Health Department and the Mi'kmaq Child and Family Services as the Mi'kmaq Cultural Coordinator. Her focus really is on bringing back the culture and helping those with addictions, mental health issues, and trauma to heal. And she does this by using traditional Indigenous ways of healing, by connecting back to the culture, and through spiritual and natural laws. So following completion of our program, like I said, she was able to use what she had learned, the skills that she gathered from the program, to again approach her licensing body or association and have them approve the hours that she does put in the community now as nursing hours, whereas she wasn't able to do that before. So yeah, we're really, really excited to be able to share what our purpose is.
We're going to talk a little bit more about the nursing retention crisis in Canada and the burnout that many are facing. And I know Sherry touched on this a little bit as well. But as you may or may not know, nursing is the largest group of regulated health professionals in Canada. And really right now we are facing an unprecedented nursing shortage in Canada, with burnout, emotional stress, and staff shortages at the heart of the problem. And the WHO actually estimates a shortage of 4.5 million nurses by 2030. And that's really not that far away. So really, we feel that the current and future anticipated nursing shortage is a global health issue, and nurses have reached their breaking point and are leaving the profession in record numbers. So these are statistics that we can find, and they are very alarming. The burden on our health system is immense. This is something we're all probably familiar with, especially as nurses. And we know that nurses are the backbone working around the clock to ensure the health of our patients, our clients, our families, and our communities. However, the increasing pressure and working conditions have deteriorated, which directly affects nurses and their health and their well-being, and in turn, retention. So as someone who also works in a university setting as a faculty member, I see firsthand how in strategies in order to address this crisis, we are increasing the amount of seats that we are seeing, nurses be educated in. So we are seeing more seats being funded for undergraduate nursing education. However, the big topic is those nurses are coming out of the program and they're not staying in the profession that long. We're not able to retain them. So although we may have a strategy to train more nurses, if we're not able to retain our nurses, we are in the same position, and we're still in the same issue where our nursing retention is not being closely managed or monitored. So we understand how we can begin to work with the Nursing Retention Toolkit, which we'll get into a little bit in a little bit, and show you strategies that we feel we are able to implement here at TheCIINDE in order to work with some of the issues that we're seeing in this landscape and this complex landscape of our healthcare system right now. So I think this also, when we look at this, this is going to lead us into why we feel holistic nursing and nurse coaching is a great opportunity to address this crisis. And we can just go to the next slide there. There we go. Thanks, Janessa.
Okay, so this is a really big topic, the role of holistic nursing and nurse coaching. And I say that because they're often seen as two separate entities or two separate skills. And I even, saw it that way when I first discovered holistic nursing and nurse coaching. I first learned about holistic nursing, studied that, got ready to write my board certification in it. And then I was introduced to nurse coaching. And I sat back and I thought, wow, you really can't have one without the other. When we look at a holistic approach to care, we really look at, meeting the client or meeting the patient where they're at. And that really is a holistic approach in itself. And to use nurse coaching tools or coaching tools in general, you are using tools that are helping the client be in the driver's seat, for lack of a better term. So they really, you can draw on these skills to really get them to help look at what are the areas in their life that are truly important to them to address, what are some of the blockages or some of the things that might be making it difficult for them to achieve their goals. And really, there isn't anyone that would know that better than the client or the patient themselves. So to have the tools in nurse coaching, you're able to support the client and empower them in order to create the life and lifestyle that they truly desire and what will work for them. And we know that, if we make the decisions about our health, we are much more likely to abide by those and to sustain them. So that goes for both clients and for nurses as well. And we're seeing that in our program with graduates coming back and saying, you know, the nurse coaching skills in themselves, or those nurse coaching questions that we ask clients, actually asking ourselves. And I often do that too. I will, you know, pause and say, okay, well, what would I ask a client? You know, and how will that help me come to the decision that I need to come to? So, you know, we realized early on that they really complement each other, and it really is a reciprocal process. So coaching really is founded on a holistic approach, and using those tools in care really, we feel, is conducive to that holistic approach. So we can certainly choose to expand in one area or the other. So we have, you know, nurses that come to us and they're just truly interested in holistic nursing, you know, even tell us, I don't care about the coaching piece of it. And it's like, okay, you know, you really don't need to hone in on that. And we may have nurses come to us saying, I'm interested in nurse coaching, not the holistic piece of it. So I think, you know, we take the time to explain how they complement each other. And even if you don't want to really expand on, let's say, the nurse coaching piece of it, you'll still find that having even an introductory level to nurse coaching skills and tools and questions really helps that holistic process. So we thought this would actually be a really good place to highlight a piece from an article that was written by one of our graduates and current student advisors, Kelly Flanagan, and I'm just going to see if I can see that. So she submitted this article to Canadian Nurse Magazine, and she said holistic nurses and nurse coaches are both experts in combining the tenets of health and well-being by using their expertise in nursing and combining it with additional education in holism and coaching to support individuals to improve overall wellness and individual growth.
All right. So we wanted to take that and really highlight that we do feel that nurse coaching and holistic nursing, well, we say holistic nursing and holistic nurse coaching, are enhanced practice nursing. On this slide, we used to have that this was advanced practice nursing, but the more that we thought about it, the more that it really began to speak to us, and it really did become this thing where, you know, a lot of times to say that we're doing advanced practice nursing, it's like you have to go do your master's and you have to go do all these other things. But we really wanted to showcase how any nurse, so whether that's RNs, NPs, RPNs, LPNs, across the board, learning about holistic nursing and nurse coaching can really enhance their nursing practice by using these tools, as Sherry just alluded to. So at TheCIINDE, we do believe that nurses equipped with enhanced skills in holistic nursing and nurse coaching become transformative leaders in reshaping the culture of healthcare. By integrating mind, body, and spirit approaches, these nurses shift the focus from treating illness to promoting comprehensive wellness, empowering patients and healthcare teams alike. These enhanced skills, ranging from trauma-informed care and mindfulness to emotional intelligence and behavior change coaching, are transferable across all nursing settings and levels of education, as I just mentioned. At TheCIINDE, we're truly committed to developing nurses who are not only proficient in these areas, but are also equipped to drive innovation and lead a paradigm shift towards holistic, patient-centered care, transforming health outcomes and nursing practice at every level. And this is where we really see the Nursing Retention Toolkit coming into play. We really are hitting on so many of the points and so many of the areas and themes within that toolkit, which we're going to speak to here soon. What we teach at TheCIINDE enhances not only bedside care, but also reshapes nursing education itself. And if you have graduated from the program or you're currently going through the program, this is one of the things that we really do pride ourselves on, is the fact that we're not going back to nursing school for this. This is a different type of education. And we're really excited to meet the students where they're at and help them navigate what it looks like to become a holistic nurse and a holistic nurse coach.
So as Janessa mentioned, those who are trained in holistic nursing and nurse coaching are really able to contribute to a culture shift. And this is really what we feel is needed. And I'm sure that each and every one of you is also aware that our profession is in desperate need of a culture shift. So we feel that that this culture shift is urgently needed because our profession is at this critical juncture point where we're facing widespread burnout, as we've talked about, moral distress, and alarming amounts of nurses leaving the professional. So we look and see that oftentimes traditional models of nursing often prioritize task-based care, which is important, and clinical outcomes, but we're maybe not prioritizing the well-being of the nurses themselves. So this has led to a pervasive culture of, stress and emotional fatigue and a feeling of a lack of support. So this sometimes can lead to nurses feeling moral fatigue, moral injury, and therefore they feel, that they're not able to provide the type of care that they want to provide. So they're not able to provide the compassionate care, or they feel like the high quality care because of the environment that they're in. And so we really know that in order to retain and sustain a nursing workforce, we really need this paradigm shift. We need this culture shift, one that really focuses and centers on holistic person-centered care that begins with the nurse first. And we know that holistic nurses are so well positioned to be leaders in this area and to create this culture shift and change. So in the Nursing Retention Toolkit, they say that short staffing isn't due to a lack of nurses. They're out there. The real issue is that many aren't showing up because they feel their humanity is overlooked and undervalued. And that was just such a pertinent quote that stood out to us because, as I mentioned earlier, we know that nurses are being trained, that they're out there, but sometimes we're not seeing them. They're not showing up because they feel like they're not valued. They're overlooked. And what an awful thing to feel. So the toolkit also mentions and it offers a reminder that nurses are human beings requiring what any other human being needs, including rest, nourishment, work-life balance, and fulfillment at work. It's also a reminder that nurses are not heroes who selflessly care despite the context. Nurses are professionals with knowledge, skills, and expertise that make a difference to people in Canada and beyond. Nurses know how important their work is to the health of all people, and nurses also know that we need to continue our critical work of sustaining healthcare for all. So we ask you to use this toolkit to aid nurses in helping you protect the health of the healthcare system in this country, and we cannot act alone. We need all levels of healthcare governance to join us in this effort. This toolkit is an action plan, and we ask that you take action with us today. So we are really aligned with taking action with this toolkit, and we really resonate with a lot of the action strategies that were outlined in the toolkit and some of the things that we're already providing and feel like we're doing and providing an opportunity for that culture shift to occur. And we really know that that is through the graduates that come through the program. So it is through their unique leadership, their expertise, their willingness to show up and to take this training and to go on and make such an impact with who they are as individuals and their knowing of this need for this culture shift and to really stand in their values and beliefs and show up for a different way to nurse. So just moving along. So just as we mentioned, you may be wondering, how do I become a holistic nurse and nurse coach? So as we have mentioned, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but we do offer a program. It's our signature program. It's the Holistic Nurse, Nurse Coach, and Consultant Certificate Program. So we are the only continuing education institute in Canada providing this education right now. So if you are looking to become a holistic nurse, nurse coach, or consultant, this is something you can reach out to us about. But we just wanted to highlight that we do have this continuing education opportunity available if this is what you're looking for. And then I think Janessa has a few statistics as well.
Yeah, and just to highlight some of the things that Kim mentioned. So we have had a total of 217 students go through the program. Currently, we have 29 students who are in the final phase of their cohort, which is really exciting. And then next, I think it's next Monday, or no, in 2 Mondays from now, we start cohort 9, which is hard to believe that since we've started this, we're going into our 9th cohort. And just to show a little bit about how we're collecting information and, making sure that we understand where nurses are at when they come into the program and where they are afterwards has really helped inform us in knowing that we're meeting measures of the toolkit. So we have pre and post evaluations, and we ask for feedback from every student. We're continuously reaching out, making sure that they're feeling seen and heard, and that they know that the program is different. we really do teach nurses to be the CEO of their license. And we always like to say it's kind of a play on words here with these prescription bottles. Instead of offering, a pill for every single thing out there, what we're offering oftentimes is a lifestyle prescription for not only the client, but the nurse as well. And we see this in each and every one of the nurses going through the program, which is super exciting. And then just to add on to this, we've also had, I believe Linda Yetman is on here as well right now in this presentation, but she has done some wonderful research for us along the way. And this was a poster presentation that she had done and was going to present with the American Holistic Nurses Association at one of their past conferences. So preliminary findings from that, our first cohort suggest that knowledge of holistic nursing and holistic nurse coaching really increased significantly, as did self-care practices such as mindfulness and using mind-body connection techniques, which is so powerful because it really did highlight and augment that we do see the value of putting that nurse first.
Okay, so we wanted to share just a couple of testimonials from students or graduates of the program. And as Kim had alluded to earlier, one of the things that really has been profound for us is the impact that we are seeing, on the graduates of the program. So it's not just in their professional lives or in their professional lives, but also in their personal lives. And we know that the two really do influence one another. We've had so many conversations about the state of nursing at this point and what it is that we're offering and how can we best support. We're always looking at ways that we can improve things or make sure that we're not missing something. And it can be really challenging to look at what is happening in the healthcare system and in nursing in general, and to feel like we know we can't go in and change what's happening in every single hospital, but what can we do to help the nurse? So as Kim had said earlier, that self-care piece. And for me, it was really, how can we implement self-care into every moment of our day? It's important to take those times or those moments for ourselves as well. But when you talk to a nurse that's already tired, maybe burnt out, overwhelmed with everything, and you really encourage them to look at implementing self-care, often what I got as a response was, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I can't even find 5 minutes in my day. So we thought, what can we do to help you or to show you what we have learned and how to implement these things, even when you're just walking down the hallway in the hospital or you're driving to the hospital or, wherever it is that you're working. So it really does make a difference. And then just recently, we've been having a lot of conversations around culture. So yeah, maybe we can't necessarily go in and change what's happening within the hospital system or the institutions, but we can look at the culture and help reshape that culture. And that's, it really is a key word that we're hearing a lot lately. So just to highlight a couple of the testimonials, and this one is just from cohort 2. So this was quite a while ago. One of our graduates said, this course has been the much needed mirage in my desert dry nursing career. And for that, I'm very grateful. This learning experience has created a sacred space for us nurses to put our hair down and feel the feelings and emotions that come with the profession. Joelle Ross from cohort 5 said, I feel like this course is the life rehab I've desperately been searching for. I have asked my healthcare support team for connections or resources like that of a life rehab center, but I never got a positive answer. As we are moving forward in the course, I'm realizing more and more this is exactly what I needed 3 years ago when I found myself on medical leave. Nope. And then just recently, so this is from 2 graduates or 2 students that are about to graduate. Actually, I can't see that. Can you see that better, Kim or Janessa? Like
Yeah,
I can't
do you want me to read
read.
it here?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I can't see that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we have, I'll go to Jeremiah first. So Jeremiah was one of our scholarship winners, and he is currently going through the program. And he said, being selected as the recipient of the Cultivating Kindness Scholarship has been one of the greatest gifts I've ever received. The personal and professional growth that I've experienced while completing the certificate program has not only transformed the care and support that I'm able to provide to others, but also the level and care and support I'm able to provide for myself. So that was just so wonderful to hear. And then Colleen over here says, the holistic training I received at the Kind has profoundly impacted both my personal and professional life. Holistic nursing, with its emphasis on self-care and self-reflection and compassion, has the potential to transform the nursing work environment. Having an experienced nurse coach to bridge the gap between frontline staff and management would be an invaluable tool for addressing toxic workplace culture. So there it is, that culture again. And improving nurse retention. Through cultural change and a focus on holistic care, we can inspire and retain the next generation of nurses, creating a healthier and more supportive profession for all. So two very, very lovely testimonials for sure. I'll hand it back over to you, Sherry.
Okay, wonderful. So we also have a quote here from Jen McDougall, who's with the Nova Scotia Health Authority. They are sending actually their second cohort of students to us this month. And they have said, we have had the honor and privilege to have 50 nurses participate in the KIND program, Holistic Nurse Program, to become a nurse wellness coach within Nova Scotia Health. And those nurses were from a variety of practice settings within Nova Scotia Health, and the response from those participants was overwhelmingly positive. And I'll just add in there too that we did have quite a few nurse managers that attended the program, and we've had feedback from them that it's made the coaching piece of it especially has made a huge difference in how they're able to have conversations with nurses when they're in distress.
I don't know if it switched over, did it?
So yeah, here we are.
Okay.
So how does this translate? So at the KIND, we are already implementing solutions to many of the challenges that are presented within the Nursing Retention Toolkit. We only received it recently, and it didn't take us long to jump on a Zoom call together and say, oh my goodness, they have the ideas, they have the funding. We are implementing the answers to so many of the questions within this toolkit. So basically nurses come to us because they're disheartened, they're burnt out. We talked about that earlier, and they're on the verge of leaving the profession or are leaving the profession. Most are grasping for a reason and or a way to stay in the career that they once loved or envisioned would be different. So we provide a safe space where we can begin first by guiding and supporting nurses in creating a cultural change within themselves, of which they can then translate into their desired area of practice. And I'll just throw in here too that some nurses are deciding to, go back to where they're practicing and implementing a whole new role. They're being offered to do that, or they put a proposal together to do that. And some are starting independent practices on the side where they're doing holistic nurse coaching. And they may be doing that just in, a very small capacity. Some of them are moving into full-time coaching practices. So many graduates, like I say, I guess I basically just said that they return to their original area of practice. What that might look like would be wellness advocates, like we had mentioned in the earlier slide, mentors, nurse coaches, nurse managers are finding it to be a very positive change also, as I had mentioned. Ultimately, these are really great examples of leadership in action.
All right. So as everyone has alluded to here, we are graduating professionally supported and fulfilled nurses. And we really wanted to highlight that because at the center of this graphic here, where you'll see all of the different themes of the toolkit, this is what the ultimate goal is, to provide or to have nurses feel like they're professionally supported and fulfilled, which is huge. We want to make sure that we're providing the community and a place for them to be able to do that. And we really do feel that here at the KIND, that is what we're doing. We do have a multitude of things that keep everyone connected after the program, during the program. We get to come on wonderful webinars such as this with CHNA. And we do have places for them to come back and visit and still be part of the team and part of this community for sure. So what we're going to do in the next few moments here is we're going to actually go into each of these themes and speak to how at TheCIINDE we're actually meeting each and every one of these within the toolkit, and we're just gonna highlight a few things as we go through and just share with everyone, you know, we're here, we're doing it. And maybe as we're going through, it would be really neat for you to even think about, how are you implementing the toolkit in your own practice? How are you doing that in your own place of work, place of employment? Maybe it's where you're currently working. Maybe you notice there may be places where you can bring some of these themes and goals into your practice, whether it's, you know, approaching your management or your leadership team and saying, hey, I had an idea about this. And we really do recommend that everyone take the time to go through the toolkit and just see what's in there, and see, you know, where you feel like you could maybe inject a little bit of culture shift or culture change. All right, so I think Sherry, you're up first.
I am up first. Okay, so the first theme that is highlighted in the toolkit is inspired leadership. And their goal here is to empower nurses of all levels, roles, and settings to experience fulfillment in their work and become leaders within their organization. So their initiative is, again, we're hearing cultural change, leadership competencies, and emerging nursing leaders. And when they talk about leaders, they're not talking about just nurses that are in leadership roles or positions like managerial positions. They're talking about nurse leaders, you know, all of us being leaders, whether we're at the bedside or what we're doing. So what we feel, or what we know that we are already doing at TheCIINDE, is that we are role modeling and inspiring cultural change, beginning with the nurse first. This is through a transformative process embedded in self-awareness, development, and emotional intelligence. And these are words that we use all the time. You'll see them in all of our workbooks and our classes, but those words are highlighted because I actually took those right out of the toolkit. Self-care practices that become an integral part of daily life, as I mentioned earlier, training and graduating nurse leaders, managers with advanced coaching skills that include a holistic, strength-based, individualized approach. And this addresses the crises mode that's also mentioned within the toolkit, and frontline nurses. We create a brave, safe, inclusive, collaborative, supportive, and flexible learning environment and community, and expand on education to communities and classroom settings such as universities, independent practice, and wellness initiatives.
Awesome. Then the next one is flexible and balanced ways of working. So the goal of that is to promote nurse autonomy and flexibility in scheduling and career progression. And so at TheCIINDE, what we're doing to meet these goals is we're understanding and exploring the impact that nurses in independent practice can play as a different way to work as a nurse. We're incorporating the use of simple self-care strategies that can be used both at the bedside and beyond. And we're empowering nurses to advocate for themselves when it comes to their schedule and speaking up for breaks and boundaries.
All right. And then the next one, we have organizational mental health and wellness supports. So really the goal here is to increase timely and fulsome access to appropriate and effective preventative and acute health and wellness supports, with an urgency and focus on mental health supports. So holistic nurses and holistic nurse coaches in Canada, we feel, are uniquely positioned to address the mental health and wellness challenges within healthcare organization, as outlined here in the Nursing Retention Toolkit. So holistic nurses, we really focus on empowering ourselves and our nurses to prioritize that self-care. We're looking at that self-development, enhancing resilience, and developing strategies for managing that stress. We're also looking at ways to recognize the stress, acknowledge it, become aware of it, and looking at what supports and resources are available. So really, by supporting our nurses in recognizing and addressing their own well-being and making that a priority, we're really creating a ripple effect that promotes a healthier workplace culture. So again, it's really about that culture shift to in that inclusion of understanding that our health matters as nurses. We need to put ourselves first. And what does that look like in terms of recognizing and having supports available? So really through these integrative approaches, including things like mindfulness, self-reflection, stress management techniques, maybe breath breath awareness techniques or developing self-awareness, holistic nurses can really guide themselves and others to help restore that balance and find meaning in their work again. And also just create a place and a culture where they're really looking at reducing burnout and promoting that well-being. So what that looks like in that, not only that internal environment, but also maybe what that looks like in that external environment too. How can we create spaces that look for healthy, healthy outlets, finding balance, finding an area to debrief and feel connected and grounded. So really looking at all of these things. And then again, addressing those topics for violence or bullying, or what policies are in place for racism and moral distress and injury. So really looking at it's a complex topic, but we really feel like holistic nurses are positioned well to be leaders in this area, to work towards this goal and to be able to be key players in this culture shift.
Thank you, Kim. So the next one is professional development and mentorship. I really encourage you all to take time to look at the Retention Toolkit. I was really impressed with how much they are emphasizing autonomy within nursing and really having a way or a space for nurses to create positions or roles within the organizations that really align with what it is that they want to do, or opportunities that they see are available. So their goal is to provide nurses across the entire career span options to enhance their skills and pursue their career goals. So their initiative is to have transition programs, to have mentorship programs, and also career pathways and bridging programs. So what are we doing already at TheCIINDE? We are graduating graduates who are implementing skills within all domains of the nursing profession. So whether that's point of care, community, wellness initiatives, management, our graduates are empowered, as I had mentioned earlier, to create career pathways and domains that align with their values, whether that's within an organization and or within the community and independent practice. And enhancing thus their career satisfaction, expertise, and versatility. So nurses, including those that are retired or late career nurses, are using the skills that they learn in holistic nursing and nurse coaching and mentoring new graduates and helping nurses experiencing transitions.
So the final four we have here. So reducing administrative burden. The goal of this is to free up nurses to focus on the tasks and care that they are uniquely skilled to provide. And with the initiative, it's to, redesign the work, have people be digitally prepared so that they can work in this digital age, and explore documentation requirements. So what we're already doing at TheCIINDE is we're encouraging nurses to document with heart through the heart of charting. And we find this to be an innovative way to document care of clients and patients. We're also empowering nurses to become digitally savvy through a variety of learning platforms and unique ways of working with patients or clients, really providing confidence in the digital age. So that could be across the board, not only themselves knowing how to work in this digital age, but also helping their clients. This could be a really great advocacy role that someone takes on when they're working with their clients to ensure that they're able to keep up and catch up within this world. And a really great example that we often will share with students is a little tiny book, and it's called Watson's Caring in the Digital World. And it's a great enhancement to read alongside when you're learning in this digital age and when you're constantly out there trying to figure out, how do I keep up with everything? Everything is changing so quickly. Information is coming at us so quickly. How do I keep up? So it is a really great way to pull holistic nursing and Watson's caring theory into the digital world that we're currently living in. And then we're also empowering nurses to understand their full scope of practice through hands-on assignments. And we often know that one of our assignments, it may cause a little bit of anxiety in the beginning, but ultimately what happens when nurses go through and complete this assignment that we have, what happens is they really start to understand what is involved in maybe independent practice, what's involved in sharing with others what holistic nursing is and what nurse coaching is, and how that is so beautifully woven into our scope of practice.
So the next theme is strong management and communication. So the goal here is really to promote cultures of transparent leadership and mutual respect between management and point of care nurses. So again, a really important goal. And we feel that here, when we look at nurses who are trained in holistic nursing and nurse coaching, we know that they have taken this program and they have now in turn have enhanced communication skills. So having those enhanced communication skills can really in turn create culture shifts in management to facilitate a more collaborative decision-making process and promote a collaborative atmosphere where nurses are being seen, they feel heard, they feel valued and respected. So we really feel like management, with having this additional training in holistic nursing and nurse coaching for those in management and leadership roles, they're really maybe able to have more confidence in their communication skills, but they're also maybe able to have more confidence in the way that they role model taking care of themselves, that they role model what we learn in the program. So how they show up in the world, because when we role model the importance of self-care and self-development practices, we're better able to promote both personal and professional growth. So this in turn leads to more transparent and authentic leadership, and it really contributes to a bit of a culture shift. So again, working with organizations who have sent a lot of leaders and management to the program, that's what they have been hoping to do, is really create the strong management system where they feel like their managers are then able to support and hold the culture shift in order to create that change in the point of care nurses on the unit or in whatever kind of setting that they're in. So really looking at this inspired leadership and communication skills is a really significant aspect of this toolkit.
The next one is clinical governance and infrastructure. So the goal of this is to ensure that supportive clinical governance and infrastructure is in place to ensure that nurses have a core role in decision-making and are at the forefront of driving the development of a sustainable health system. When I read that goal, I was like, oh, instant goosebumps, because our students and graduates are trailblazers, and our most recent group, we call them catalysts, and they're all agents of change. And we had a student the other day, and she may even be on here, and I won't call you out, but I'm just going to share something that you said. And she had said that she didn't realize that she was actually creating change and she was being a trailblazer. And she said she kind of felt like didn't know where she was going. She was spinning her wheels. But then when she voiced that to someone else, they were like, what are you talking about? I've been watching you for the last 2 years, and all you're doing is, trailblazing and creating a new path and showcasing that what you're doing can be done in a different way. And I thought that was so profound and perfect for what we're doing at TheCIINDE. Oftentimes nurses have the chance to see a glimpse of what can happen and what they can do. And often that starts within themselves. So they're doing it at an individual level, and then they start to do it, collectively. And really what it's doing is step by step, it's starting to transform healthcare, which is truly a wonderful thing to see. Our students and graduates and advisors are constantly preserving the distinct role of nursing and creating work groups to advance holistic nursing and nurse coaching in Canada, whether that's, looking at how can we be covered by insurance, or creating, different chapters from coast to coast around holistic nursing and nurse coaching. Our students, past grads in Manitoba, they have a wonderful and robust little community of holistic nurses and nurse coaches in Manitoba. And so they're always out there, and they're always looking to see, what can I do? How can I bring this? How can I share this? Which is truly transformative. And then within the program and beyond, we're incorporating lenses of trauma, culture, and community-aware care with a focus on Indigenous ways of knowing. So we're really trying to pull those things in and make sure that we're weaving it into everything that we do, and that we can highlight exactly what this looks like as a holistic nurse and as a nurse coach moving forward.
Okay, so the final one, which is good because we're almost at the top of the hour here, it's safe staffing practices. So their goal is to support physically safe and psychologically brave workplaces by implementing staffing practices, nurse-patient ratios, which we know is a hot topic, that reflect factors like patient acuity, nurse experience, and work-life balance. Their initiative is to have clinical supports and safe staffing frameworks and tools. So what we do here at TheCIINDE, and we definitely strive to do this as well as we can, is to create a safe, brave space for open sharing, mutual respect, personal growth through diverse experiences, while also teaching others how to cultivate the same. So that, you know, when you look at the testimonials from our students, often that is, you know, part of their personal transformation. It's, I'm able to show up differently for others, and that includes the people that I work with. We provide training to nurses that incorporates an inclusive, holistic approach, including coaching skills to support and empower their peers. And we foster a community of care and collaboration because we see the powerful transformation that happens when nurses support one another and truly pull together.
All right. So just to kind of wrap up, we want to acknowledge that really we're looking at what does nursing look like in the future? How can we continue to take action, each and every one of us, to support this nursing retention toolkit and just support the nursing retention crisis in Canada. We hope that you've all been inspired, you know, in your own unique way of how you might be able to take this information back to your own place of employment or to your own practice, and that you're feeling inspired by what can and is possible to support the retention crisis that we're all facing. Because as we've talked about, we can't do this alone. That's why we looked into the nursing retention toolkit. We were excited to see all the ways that we align at TheCIINDE and the ways that we can continue to align and strengthen our commitment and devotion to the, you know, to responding to this crisis, because at the end of the day, it is a global health issue. And something we're very passionate about is obviously the health and well-being of the nurse first. So it aligns so well with us. But whether or not you've taken our program, we just hope that you are inspired to continue to take this forward in a way that is authentic to you, because we really must invest in ourselves, in our workplace, and in our education to really come together as a community of nurses who can really support our own profession. So this is something we're really just very excited about, we're hopeful about, and we're excited to have a bit of an action plan and a framework to be able to work with. So if you do have questions, we'll be opening that up here soon, or if you have ideas or things you'd like to look at in terms of collaborating with, we're always open to that. We invite connections, we invite that community, we invite that collaborative approach to be able to approach these large issues, because, you know, we are in a season where our representatives, our employers, they often don't know where to start when it comes to the retention crisis. So this toolkit is a great starting place, but then we also need to understand how can we provide the action steps to begin to implement, not only just the framework, but how can this actually be implemented? So beginning to collaborate, have those conversations, even though sometimes they are difficult conversations, to be able to create that culture shift is so important. And we can often see that, at least in our experience, we've often seen that people are pretty open to having these discussions, because it is such you know, it's such a, we're at such a tipping point that people are looking for inspired ideas. They're looking for new ways of thinking. They're looking for new ways of implementing shifts, and looking at new ways of how can we retain, how can we build our culture, how can we take better care of our nurses so that they feel fulfilled in their role. So we are excited to have you here and to open up the discussion, and we would love to open it up to questions and just see questions and comments to see if
So
anyone.
Kim, before we go to the Q&A and stop the recording, I would just really like to thank you and Janessa and Sherry for bringing this forward today in the manner that you did. And just sharing how TheCIINDE is supporting the Nursing Retention Toolkit with your work and your course offerings. I think it was really clear how you laid your actions out in context to that, and because this is a federal policy. So it really does have a lot of power if you become involved with it. So, you know, it's a great example, a proactive and powerful example of supporting this culture shift that needs to happen in this really stuck healthcare system. Because I know we've had this conversation, how this is not necessarily a new concept. You know, the nursing crisis has been looming for decades. And the culture of nursing has not been able to get a grip on how to turn things around and support, you know, our frontline nurses, our nurses in the trench, and our general practice nurses, all the nurses, you know, the profession in general, and giving us a voice. So I also just want to emphasize that this supports the CHNA's vision of bringing complementary and integrative healthcare into all aspects of nursing and the patient care experience. So working together, we are stronger. And, you know, just listening to this inspires me to apply the toolkit to what CHNA does. So another thing for the list. Anyways, I just wanted to say that, and thank you again for providing this webinar information for us and our members and those who were able to attend today.
Thank you so much, Kate. And thank you for that too, right? And that's one of the things is we just hope to inspire as well, right? Because the more that we're all working on this, the more resources, the more collective voices, you know, the more collective voices that we have that are able to speak to and share these ideas. We just never know what shifts in paradigms we may be able to create. So it's strengthening our collective voice, I feel like, as nurses, but particularly as holistic nurses, and what we can really bring to the table to offer, and to be seen as the leaders that we are. Yeah, each and every one of us here. So, yeah.